Shortly after the start of the first practice session, it became clear that this weekend was going to be a challenge for the teams. Tire wear was absolutely horrendous, which is believed to be a result of the Albuquerque Speedbowl having been repaved and renovated over the winter, and Rubber Dub Dub brought the same compound that they did to last year's race, so it seems that the tire compound doesn't agree with the new track surface. However, officials were not very concerned about the situation and have told the teams to just deal with it. We'll have to see how that turns out. Scott, it's all yours. Thank you, Earl. Rip Tyler takes the Smash Beer Pull Award for round 1 here at Albuquerque. Scott Dollett starts second. That's his best start of the year, but he doesn't make much use of that as Rip Tyler pulls away coming off of turn 2. But Rip Tyler isn't going to get such a great entry into turn 3, but Ricky Navarro does, and he is right under the 16 immediately for the lead of the race. Scott Dollitz triggers the first caution when he gets loose and sweeps across the front bumper of David Krikorian. And Dollitz merges back up into traffic. Trek Togger takes Gary D'Souza into the wall. Damian Snyder is around. Harry Nola. Togger then goes for a wild ride. Philip Borland is also around. Jared Anderson looks like got a piece of that as well. Dollitz and his spotter were called to the hauler because this was a very sloppy piece of driving. While taking the yellow flag, Dan McKay gets into CJ Deschaux, who turns him around and into the wall. Dan McKay goes for several rolls down turn 1. He gets the car going again, but he will be done for the night, and there is more wrecking behind him. Jason Kruger and Herbie Finkelberg have spun. Kruger in the pie car is running on the apron, and I guess he was trying to react to Dan McKay, and Herbie Finkelberg had nowhere to go. Mamba Kumengu in the 152 also got a small piece of that, and that will top off a very long set of incidents on lap 2. Ricky Navarro is able to hold off Rip Tyler after the restart. Michael Madrigal in the 64 is running third. He's coming off of his first Elite Series victory at Buffalo Downs last week, and he is doing a good job at keeping up that momentum so far. A few laps later, Ricky Navarro gets into the wall, and that opens up the door for Rip Tyler. It seems that tire wear is starting to take effect on these cars. Just behind these two, Leslie Riggs is taking the third spot from Michael Madrigal. Our two Buffalo winners are going at it, with Riggs winning the battle so far, but Madrigal is not making life easy for the 50 car. However, Riggs has the preferred line, and Madrigal has to surrender the position, and now he is facing a challenge from Armand Mitro, making one of his few starts this season in the 175 car for Jaguar Racing. Rip Tyler has opened up his lead over Ricky Navarro. He's got to deal with the lapped car of Philip Borland, but Tyler dispatches him without much of a problem. Jason Kruger encounters more problems as James West gets into the wall coming off of turn 4, and Kruger has nowhere to go but into the side of the 69 car. He goes for a slide down the front stretch, but he gets going again, but not before losing several positions. Caution 2 came out on lap 31 as Makoto Yamada gets into the wall coming off of turn 2 and spins down the backstretch. He gets hit by Jared Anderson pretty hard, and Jason Kruger clips the 22 as well. That's going to take Kruger out of the race after a miserable day for the pie car. It looks like Kruger just misjudged where Yamada was going to be. Mamba Kumengu gets a piece, and Ricky Navarro gets into the pie car, and that's going to take car 34 out of the race from the second position. Riding on board with Jason Kruger, and again, it looks like he just misjudges where the 22 is. Kumengu gets him turned around in order for him to see Ricky Navarro plow into the front of him. Tough break for Navarro, who only has one victory to his name dating all the way back to 2005. He has shown that he is perfectly capable of running up front, but things like this just happen to him all the time. The whole field pitted on the restart, and Leslie Riggs got the lead, and she gets a great jump over Jacob Eichholz in the 231. Rip Tyler tries to make his way back up into the lead by taking second from Jacob Eichholz, or at least trying to. Eichholz is putting up quite a battle. Kevin Monroe is lurking back in the 4th position, waiting to pounce if either of these drivers make a mistake. But Tyler is able to get around Eichholz, and in the span of just a few laps, he finds himself right on the back bumper of Leslie Riggs. Kevin Monroe has moved into 3rd as Eichholz starts to drop back. You probably saw some smoke in that last shot. Well, here's why. Gary D'Souza gets into Alex Carson coming off of turn 2 and goes sliding to the inside. However, the caution does not come out. Rip Tyler makes a bid for the lead once again, and he's going to take it coming through turn 3 with Kevin Monroe gaining quite a bit of ground due to this battle. Eichholz is still lurking in the 4th position. Rip Tyler seems to be establishing himself as a force to be reckoned with on these short tracks. In fact, he got his first win at the ice track in Alaska a few weeks ago. However, Kevin Monroe would get by Leslie Riggs and then soon chase down Rip Tyler, who surrenders the spot without much of a problem. Monroe has found himself around the top of the points standings for most of the season. In fact, for most of his career, he's been a top 10 points driver. However, the ARLA Elite Series Championship has eluded him ever since his debut in 2001. Monroe starts to open up a big lead even as he cuts his way through lap traffic. Right now, he is negotiating with Damian Snyder and Mike Howard in the 610, but these two are being fairly gracious towards the leaders. Riding on board with Rip Tyler, he's going to get into the wall coming off of turn 2 and lose quite a bit of ground on Kevin Monroe. Leigh Gurel in the 46 brings out the next caution when he gets up into the wall and then turned around by Michael Madrigal. Tough break for Leigh Gurel. He gets his car going without much of a problem, but he was running up inside the top 10 at the time, and so it's going to be quite a battle from here. Coming to the yellow flag, CJ Dejau gets up into the wall, and he gets hit by Namimura in the 39, and I saw Tyson Lautenschlager get a piece of that as well. I have to say, this pretty much sums up Dejau's disaster of a season so far. The field pitted under that caution, and Leslie Riggs' crew was once again the fastest. She leads on the restart. CJ Dejau is the last car on the lead lap, and Riggs is very quick to dispatch the 37 car. Bixby Foot places another Power Steering Incorporated car inside the top 5 as he currently runs 4th. Foot is currently winless in the ARLA Elite Series, but he, as well as PSI as a whole, has been very strong this year. Leslie Riggs starts to open up her lead on Rip Tyler. Leslie Riggs dominating a race has not happened very often in her career. She seems to have preferred sneaking up on the leader and stealing the win on the last lap. But this season, she's been doing a real good job in getting her car up towards the front and then staying there for the remainder of the race. And it looks like we might see a continuation of that tonight. However, Rip Tyler has other plans as he is able to drive right up to the 50 and get by Leslie Riggs without too much of a problem. His teammate Bixby Foot is now in the 3rd position. So this has been a great night for Power Steering Incorporated so far. Alex Carson brings out the next caution on lap 108 when he gets into the wall coming off of turn 2, and he spins the 28 car to the inside. However, he does not get hit and he keeps going. While under caution, Mike Howard is looking to stay on the track, but Rip Tyler is trying to come into the pits, and this results in Tyler spinning the 610 into the wall. I'm not sure what Tyler was thinking, but he was called to the hauler for this incident. And then Scott Dalitz causes more problems when he gets into the 99 of Philip Borland and sends him around. After his previous case of questionable driving tonight, I seriously doubt that officials are going to be happy with Dalitz. Rip Tyler continues to lead on the restart. Anthony Griffith and Tyson Lautenschlager are the last cars on the lead lap. However, we get the next caution shortly afterwards when Edwin Schwartzlowski slides up into Casey Campbell coming off of turn 2, and it seems that Campbell didn't like it. The 910 goes up the wall. Todd Wodarczyk gets involved. James West gets a piece of that. Philip Borland and Alex Carson get together. Here we are on board with Casey Campbell. You're going to see Schwartzlowski slide up into her, and Campbell either gets loose or turns left into the 66, and that doesn't work out for the both of them as Campbell goes up the wall and almost into the catch fence. Officials wanted to have a word with her after the race, as Campbell didn't exactly have the nicest things to say about Schwartzlowski as well. Rip Tyler continues to lead, and he gets a great start without any lap cars in front of him this time around. However, Leslie Riggs gets an equally great start and is hounding the back of the 16 car coming off of turn 2. Hawk Slider in the 070 is lurking just outside the top 5. This has been one of his best runs of the season so far. for next week's 150 laps of Dwyer, Slider has John Smith listed as his relief driver again, but we've heard that this year there will be extra officials stationed at Hawk Slider's pit to make sure he actually does get out of the car and let John Smith drive this time. Rip Tyler holds about a 5-car length lead over Leslie Riggs. Kevin Monroe is third. Bigsby Foot is still hanging around in the top 5, and Jacob Eichholz is still in 5th. But Leslie Riggs is able to charge back up to Rip Tyler. He skates up the track in turn 3, opening up the door for the 50. But Riggs is going to get a poor entry into turn 1, and that will allow Rip Tyler to get a great run off the corner, and Tyler will keep the lead for now. Trek Togger's already had a dismal night, and it's about to get worse as Anthony Griffith gets into the 011 coming off of turn 4, spinning him to the inside. However, this does not bring the yellow flag out. Jacob Eichholz sees Trek Togger merging in front of him, but he drifts up into the wall coming off of turn 2. But nonetheless, Jacob Eichholz is having another great run in that 231 car. Kevin Monroe running in 3rd is also going to slap the wall coming off of turn 2. It seems that tires are going to start coming into play as the laps wind down tonight. And just in front of Monroe, Leslie Riggs tries for the lead once again, and this time she gets a great run on Rip Tyler and sweeps by him without much of a problem. And a bit further up the track, you probably saw a bit of smoke. Namimura gets into the wall coming off at turn 2 and sweeps back up into Harrianola and stuffs the 45 car into the wall. But in the meantime, Leslie Riggs opens up too much of a gap for Rip Tyler to overcome, and Riggs takes her 3rd win of the season and 2nd in a row. A brilliant drive by Leslie Riggs makes her our first 3-time winner of the season. Kevin Monroe hangs on to the 3rd spot despite slapping the wall. Bigsby Foot finishes in 4th, which puts 2 PSI cars in the top 5 so far tonight. Jacob Eichholz pulls off another stellar run for that 231 team. Eichholz has been proving all season that his win in the rookie shootout was no fluke. David Krikorian finishes a very quiet 6th in the 32 car, and behind him, CJ Cameron brings home another great top 10 run. Joseph Howard finishes 8th for MRD Motorsports. Michael Madrigal, despite encountering a few hiccups during the race, backs up his Buffalo win with a 9th place finish, and Armand Mitro rounds out the top 10 in the part-time Jaguar Racing entry. Speaking of Jaguar Racing, Holden Roberts takes the Smash Beer Pole Award for round 2, and he gets a great start pulling away from the Zenith machines of Kyle Eckerton, who started on the outside front row, and Henrietta Laverne, who started in 3rd. However, we get our first caution on lap 4 as Libby Bell tries to go 3 wide with Jason Bates and Jason Teller. Bates and Teller get up into the wall. Bates goes for a roll as a massive pileup breaks out at the exit of turn 2. Andy Pearson goes for a few rolls thanks to a big shunt from Nico Petrov. He gets caught up in this and gets hit by his teammate Lucas Sweeney. Rachel Rainsford is in there, Bob Steffens, and then there's the shunt from Nico Petrov that sends Pearson for several rolls. And Andy Pearson actually drives the car away, however his damage would be terminal. But still, I've got to applaud Andy Pearson for driving the car away, but not for getting into Patrick Carroll like that. Not sure what that was about. The race was red flagged, but once the field got going again, Cameron Sweetwater's engine expires on her. Sweetwater's been having some good runs in her few starts this season, but not tonight, unfortunately. The majority of the field pitted, but Benji Flynn, among a few others, didn't, and Flynn leads on the restart with Rene Ricarmier right behind him. Ricarmier wastes no time in trying to get to the inside of Flynn, but Flynn gets a great run coming off of turn 2, and he's able to keep Ricarmier at bay for now. Ryan Griffin finds himself in a familiar spot in the opening stages of the race, towards the front of the field. Griffin is currently running 4th in another stellar performance for this 35 team, which we've come to expect from them, despite this only being a part-time effort with a rookie driver. There's a bit of smoke up ahead of the leaders. Shane Lake gets into Phil Summers coming off at turn 4. This in turn sends Matas Kazimieras for a slide down the inside. However, this does not bring out the yellow flag. Another driver having a great run is Chuck Bloomers for his family-owned team. Good luck has been very hard to come by for this 89 team. There have been very few races where the car has emerged clean, but when Bloomers does keep the car clean, he's usually running up inside the top 15, and tonight is definitely proof of that as he runs in 6th. Benji Flynn pulls away from the field as Taylor Brillon tries to get around Rene Ricarmier for the 2nd spot. Brillon gets by Ricarmier and chases down Benji Flynn, and Brillon will take the lead with a little bit of help from the lapped car of Derek Dudding. Libby Bell has also charged her way up towards the front, running right behind the 65, and she will take 2nd from Flynn. The next caution comes out when Allie Riggs gets loose coming off at turn 2, bounces into Kyle Eckerton, then off the wall, and she gets back up into Rene Ricarmier, taking both cars into the wall. Allie Riggs gets caught in the wall and goes for a roll. Dale Underwood hammers into the back of the 19 with nowhere to go. And Rene Ricarmier gets a little bit of help back onto his wheels from Packer Carroll. Derek Dudding in the Eversorb machine misses this wreck, amazingly enough, but he gets into the wall coming off at turn 4. Chuck Bloomers has nowhere to go, and neither does Bruce Wilkinson. They both hammer Derek Dudding. Bloomers and Wilkinson are going to go out of the race thanks to Derek Dudding's sloppy as usual driving. And to add insult to injury for those two, Derek Dudding continues on. Libby Bell leads on the restart as the whole field pitted, and her crew was the fastest. While her PSI teammates have enjoyed consistency this season, Libby Bell has been really hit or miss. She'll perform really well one week, and then the next week, you'll never even know she's there. But Bell is certainly making sure she gets noticed tonight as she holds off Benji Flynn shortly after the restart. Kyle Eckerton and Henrietta Laverne, after qualifying very well, are still up front. This has been a tough season for Zenith Development, which has ballooned to 4 cars, and all of their cars are struggling to find consistency. But maybe this kind of run will be the beginning of a turnaround for them. Libby Bell finds herself trying to hold off Taylor Brillon, while at the same time negotiating with Derek Dudding. She gets by Dudding, but Brillon is still breathing down her neck, and right behind them, Ryan Griffin gets by Benji Flynn for the 3rd spot as Flynn gets trapped behind Derek Dudding. And then something breaks on Flynn's car, so he will have to bring the 36 to the pits after having such a great run. Libby Bell comes up to lap Derek Dudding again, and Dudding gets into the wall. Again, he's going to ride the wall until the exit of turn 2, but I'm sure some of our other leaders appreciated having him out of their way. Libby Bell and Taylor Brillon open up quite a gap over the rest of the field. You see Billy Bob Bradburn in the background. He is a lap down. Pole sitter Holden Roberts also fell a lap down, and so it would be fitting that he and Billy Bob Bradburn get together coming off of turn 2, setting Roberts spinning. However, he gets the 165 car going again and will continue the race. Libby Bell continues to lead after the field made pit stops during that caution. Benji Flynn, running a few laps down, restarted in front of Libby Bell, but despite this, Bell got a great start over Taylor Brillon. Ryan Griffin is still running up inside the top 5. If this guy doesn't get a full-time ride next season, I will be extremely disappointed. He has been extremely fast despite his limited experience with these cars. He's only running a few races this season, but I would not be surprised to see him in victory lane sometime in 2011. Taylor Brillon still runs second to Libby Bell, but Bell is starting to pull away from her a bit. Oh, Bradburn gets into the wall, and Brillon has nowhere to go. This is the 2nd week in a row that Brillon's gone out of a front-running position, and this doesn't even bring out the yellow flag. We've had a couple single-car incidents tonight that I could understand wouldn't bring out the yellow, but it's just ridiculous to have 2 cars go spinning and to have the race continue on like nothing happened. But Libby Bell's probably not complaining. She now has a huge lead over 2nd place, which will be that 47 car of Kyle Eckerton. However, a caution is going to bunch up the field as Derek Dudding gets into the wall again, and Amy Petty has nowhere to go. Billy Bob Bradburn hammers into Dudding, and Benji Flynn gets a piece of that as well. Dudding has a little bit of contact from Jarko Forsstrom, and I don't really blame Jarko Forsstrom too much for this. And there is Billy Bob Bradburn, and Benji Flynn, I think, clips the 496325 car. To the certain relief of the rest of the field, Derek Dudding goes out. Libby Bell continues to lead on the restart, and she pulls away thanks to the lapped and severely damaged car of Lucas Hunter. Hunter is extremely slow, so Libby Bell already has a huge lead coming off of turn 2. Henrietta Laverne's hopes for a good run are dashed as she has to come into the pits for a flat tire shortly after the restart. However, a quick caution prevents her from losing too much ground. Kyle Eckerton appears to get sick of Lucas Hunter and pushes him up into the wall, but that just sends Eckerton spinning. Taylor Brillen goes for a spin behind them. Andy Pearson gets a piece of that, and Zach Webster in the 095 got a very big lick from the 47 car. Now here is Taylor Brillen. It looks like she just loses the car trying to react to this incident, and she gets hammered by Andy Pearson. Zach Webster making just his second start and nowhere to go, and you saw AJ Young and Nick Howard have a little bit of contact with each other just behind Brillen. Unsurprisingly, Libby Bell is still your leader. Ryan Griffin is now in second. Taylor Brillen is the last car on the lead lap, but Libby Bell still gets a good start despite having to start behind the 65. Jarko Forsstrom, teammate to Ryan Griffin, has worked his way up to the 4th spot. He is actually battling with Bob Steffens for that position, but he will be successful. Forsstrom, like his teammate, has also been doing a great job. We expected this 38 car to be up there as well, and he is certainly delivering. Amy Patty, despite getting into that incident with Derek Dudding, still remains inside the top 10. She is in 6th right now. Patty has proven herself to be a capable driver this season, but unfortunately, no matter how well she performs, she will be out of that 73 car at season's end. This is due to some infighting with team owner Tom Delgado. Libby Bell continues to extend her lead over Ryan Griffin as the laps wind down. Bell is looking to give Power Steering Incorporated its second victory of the season, and in fact, it would be the team's second victory overall if she can pull it off. In the closing laps, this is the most interesting battle on the track. Kurt Walker is trying to take the second position from Ryan Griffin. Griffin slaps the wall. Kurt Walker tries to take advantage, but Griffin holds him off coming into turn 3. Walker is also being hounded by Jarko Forsstrom, still running in the 4th position. However, Ryan Griffin is going to get into the wall once again, coming off of turn 2, and Walker finally gets by for the second spot. Walker has not won a race since 2007, but he will not have enough time to change that as Libby Bell, with hardly any competition, sails on to a first career ARLA Elite Series victory. Kurt Walker hangs on to the second spot for the remaining few laps. Jarko Forsstrom would move up into the 3rd position. I believe that's his best run so far. Amy Patty brings home 4th, which is one of her best runs of the year so far. Henrietta Laverne, despite getting a flat tire, rallies back to finish 5th. That quick caution really helped her as she did not go a lap down. Ryan Griffin fell all the way to 6th. It seems that he just fell apart after getting passed by Kurt Walker. Hopefully this won't become a habit. Packer Carroll stays clean for most of the race, and he is rewarded with a 7th place finish. Bob Steffens, despite having quite a bit of damage on that 211 car, comes home 8th. Jeremy West finishes a solid 9th. Maybe that team can finally turn its luck around starting tonight. And Rachel Gonzalez rounds out the top 10 in her battle-scarred Genesis. And now here are the point standings. Leaving Albuquerque, Kevin Monroe is your leader, a whopping 101 points ahead of Rene Ricarmier. Ricarmier fell behind because he got into that accident in round 2, so Kevin Monroe is sitting in a very good position heading into Dwyer next week. If he fails to qualify for that race, there's a very good chance that he could still come out with the points lead. CJ Cameron moves up into 3rd, Allie Riggs is 4th, Jacob Eicholtz is 5th, Ricky Flush 6th, Gary D'Souza in 7th, and then in a 3-way tie for 8th are Brenda Riggs, Bigsby Foot, and Leigh Gruelle. They are 193 points behind Kevin Monroe. And now for positions 11 through 20, Rip Tyler is 194 points behind the leader, Michael Madrigal is 12th, the Howards, Joseph and Nick, are tied for 13th, 214 points behind. However, the two are not related. Leslie Riggs moves up to 15th, Andy Pearson 16th, Taylor Brillen 17th, Holden Roberts 18th, Amy Patty is 19th, and rounding out the top 20 is Mamba Kumengu. He is actually tied for 20th with Libby Bell. They both have a victory, so the tiebreaker is that Mamba Kumengu has 2 more top 5s than Bell.